Hi, and welcome to British Dad Reacts. My name is John, and thank you for watching. This is a song that was originally recorded in 1969, but not released until 1974. And there's a vast number of versions of this song. Not only by Ralph McTell himself, but also by other artists. And I'm going to show a couple of versions. A kind of a punk version, and then a strange Finnish version. But this is a story. Well, we'll come back to the story. The streets of London.
Have you seen the old man in the closed down market, kicking up the papers and his worn out shoes? In his eyes you see no pride, and held loosely at his side yesterday's paper telling yesterday's news. So how can you tell me that you're lonely, and you say for you that the sun don't shine? Oh, let me take you by the hand and lead you through the streets of London. I'll show you something to make you change your mind.
This is a great song, and incredibly poignant even today. And it's telling a series of small vignettes or stories of people who are struggling, who are homeless on the streets of London. And I think as a person who was born in London, you'd like to view your city in a positive way. You have to understand some of the issues that it faces. And Ralph McTell tells the story beautifully.
And have you seen the old girl walks the streets of London, dirt in her hair and her clothes in rags? She's no time for talking, she just keeps right on walking, carrying her home into carrier bags. So how can you tell me that you're lonely, and you say for you that the sun don't shine? Let me take you by the hand and lead you through the streets of London. I'll show you something to make you change your mind. Have you seen the old man outside the seaman's mission, memory fading with the metal ribbons that he wears? And in our winter city the rain cries a little pity for one more forgotten hero and a world that doesn't care.
I love how he refers to this ex-service person outside the Seaman's Mission, and obviously these were places to help veterans who were struggling. And he talks about a world that doesn't care for these people. It's today. It's not just when he wrote it, it's today. And I think that's the saddest thing about this song, is that everything he talks about is still there today in some of the richest countries in the world.
So how can you tell me that you're lonely, and say for you that the sun don't shine? Oh, let me take you by the hand and lead you through the streets of London. I'll show you something to make you change your mind.
Now, when he talks about how can you tell me you're lonely and say for you the sun don't shine, he's kind of juxtaposing people who have things and people who don't. And he's saying to those who have, look around you. There are other things to see. And there are other people who need help. There's a great story behind this track. And Ralph May, as he was originally known, and he changed his name to McTell after a friend suggested it, because they were both fans of Blind Willie McTell, who was an American blues and ragtime singer and guitarist. And he went off around Europe. He was busking as a way of paying. And he was busking in Paris, I think, when he wrote this song. And originally he wanted to call it Streets of Paris, but realised he was actually talking about his hometown city, London. And he lived just in the outskirts of London to the south. Strangely, the song mirrors for me a very famous George Orwell book, Down and Out in Paris and London, where George Orwell is trying to tell the story to readers of the people, the groups who have to live on the streets and what it's like to be down and out. And it's that contrast of the everyday struggles of poor and homeless, elderly, and often overlooked members of society that sometimes we forget. So in that respect, it's a very poignant song. Okay, now, as a song, it's endured, and endured in strange ways. A punk band called the Anti-Nowhere League released a version of this, and I just want to play you some of it, just so you can see, well, just a very, very different version. And I'm going to come to another very, very different version after this.
Here's the Anti-Nowhere League.
It's a strange kind of punk version. And I think one of the things punks did was sometimes highlight some of the issues in society. Now, in another bizarre twist, shall we say, I won't say anything, just listen to this to start with, and then I'll tell you a little bit about it.
Ootko nähnyt miehen, joka kärryjänsä työntää niihin kamalaariin, mikä muilta yli jää? Silmissään vain menneisyyttä, sodat joihin joutui syyttä. Eilisiin lehtiin valheet eiliset jää. Niin kuinka siis voi edes väittää, sä että yksinäinen oot. Jos halki kaupunkimme kuljet, ilman että silmä suljet, omat että sentään lähes onnellinen oot.
So these are two quite famous Finnish singers, and they both did versions of this themselves, and this is them doing a duet, obviously. And I have no Finnish in my vocabulary whatsoever. It is, for me, an incredibly difficult language, coming from a strange Hungarian origin and having numerous declensions of nouns and so forth. But it's interesting that the song was picked up in Finland. I think the translation means slightly something different about how can you claim. But I think the other interesting thing for me was always, of course, is that Finland has made great strides to reduce homelessness and being very successful in changing people's lives and society there because of that. So, in my kind of due diligence of all songs that I review, I wanted to just bring that to the fore as well, that strange Finnish version. Now, all the links are in the description, clearly. But what I wanted to finish with, I think, is possibly the most poignant thing. And in 2017, there's a a charity in the UK called Crisis UK, and it supports homeless people. And they did a rendition of this track with Ralph McTell, Annie Lennox, famous of the Eurythmics, and also the choir from the charity Crisis.
Have you seen the old man in the closed down market, kicking up the papers with his worn out shoes? In his eyes you see no pride, hand out loosely at his side. Yesterday's paper telling yesterday's news. So how can you tell me you're lonely and say for you that the sun don't shine? Let me take you by the hand and lead you through the streets of London. I'll show you something to make you change your mind.
Have you seen the old girl who walks the streets of London? Dirt in her hair and her clothes in rags. She's no time for talking, she just keeps right on walking, carrying her home into carrier bags.
So how can you tell me you're lonely?
So there we have it. A great, great track by Ralph McTell, Streets of London. And I think a poignancy that's hard to ignore, really, even today. And as I say, the links to the videos are in the description. I'll also put a link into Crisis, the charity in the UK, who support the homeless. But a great song, and I don't know, gives you a different reflection on humanity and what we need. Thank you so much for watching.